embedding creativity, unlocking the co-creation message, fundamentally important if Fujitsu's philosophy is going to be lived out, I guess?
Yeah, well, we've got a long history of being really human-centred. What we need to do and what we are doing is trying to unlock that potential in our own people so that we can deliver co-creation, transformational journeys with our customers. And there are a range of ways in which we do that, but one particular way that we've started to do that is to use some design techniques that we've brought in from Japan. We've just announced the introduction of a digital transformation centre, which is a great interactive environment where people are given permission to act differently.
Brilliant.
We encourage people to dress differently. We encourage people to act out of role and start considering things that they know from their own personal life, their own home life, and start to bring that into the workplace to then inform both their own creativity and to challenge maybe the status quo of the way in which we're currently thinking about a particular problem or challenge.
That's fascinating because there's a debate around whether creativity needs to be bought in or whether creativity will be there within your business. It's the ways of working and the empowerment that you give your team to which the degree is unlocked. These new practices, it sounds like it's exciting times for those that are going to be working across these programs, being empowered to go and think differently and challenge a status quo. That's interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think people maybe have waited for permission, but I think what we're starting to see is a bit of a culture shift where people are being encouraged to take risks, to act differently, and to role model maybe some of the behaviours that they've wanted to see for quite some time. And we can see that in some really simple things about the business dress that people wear. We can see it at places like Fujitsu Forum, where we have a live hackathon going on, where we've got developers right at the front of our show demonstrating their technical capability rather than hidden from our customers, because our technologists are absolutely critical to our co-creation story. And if we see in how they're working, how they're operating, that encourages everybody to be able to maximise, make the most of their own skills.
I was talking to Chris Patton and he made the observation that applying digital co-creation not just to your customers but your customers is something that you're increasingly doing within Fujitsu.
Yeah, so within the design process that I mentioned, we often look to think about personas of our end customers in the design process. So when we're developing solutions for our customers based on a particular challenge, we'll often do some field work where we'll maybe interview our end customers. We build a more rounded view of our customers' own business and the people that consume the services that they take to market. Because it's only if we really understand their end customers are we able to come up with something that's going to support them in what is a very disrupted industry often. They're often very challenged and they're looking for an edge. And the most important edge is really understanding the customer experience. And we build that into our design process for exactly that reason.
We've certainly seen examples, speaking with a number of people over the course of yesterday, that I guess the one that really jumps out to me, I keep going back to retail. Early part of this year, retail released a report, The Forgotten Shop Floor, and they were casting a light on the fact that, yes, high street retailers have suffered in recent years, but the high street retailers thriving are those that are integrating digital and physical solutions. They're looking at the data and then they're finding innovative ways to create within the retail store. That sounds like it's exactly what we're talking about with your new design processes.
Yeah, instead of thinking about it in a traditional way that data's all about management information, I think what we're seeing is it's one of the richest assets in the co-creation process, because it tells us not just about kind of past behaviours, but it can help inform us about what the future might look like. And what we know is that retail environment's a particularly good one where we can actually see and empathise with that consumer behaviour. We're all shoppers. We all are familiar with the retail experience. And what we try to do is put ourselves in the mind of those consumers in the design process. And exploiting data is something that we need to do in all of the industries that we work with. And as you say, retail is kind of in the vanguard of that, because that's absolutely fundamental for them, both attracting new customers and retaining them. And we see that with many of the customers that we work with, that they're trying to understand exactly what their customers of the future are requiring. And we see some demographic changes in the behaviours of consumption from end customers. So we know about digital natives, but what we also know is that those that are kind of maybe second, maybe third generation digital natives coming up behind them, that their behaviours will be even different from those that perhaps the millennials are perhaps trailblazing at the moment. And the data gives us a great insight into the future digital services that we need to be designing today.
I guess retail is quite a tangible example, but I think the exciting thing to observe with Fujitsu, these principles you're applying to every vertical that you work across globally. There isn't one vertical that's not being impacted by digital co-creation, is there?
No, so we see that in some traditional manufacturing services, utility services that have huge amounts of kind of plant and engineering capability, some very traditional organisations, and all of them are looking to exploit what technology can bring them, harness it, but also give them that edge in the market in what is, incredibly competitive. And so you're absolutely right, it's happening all the way across the board.